Good morning, everybody. Wow, what a nice crowd today. Okay. We're going to try it one more time. Woo! Okay, as I was saying, good morning, everybody. We have a beautiful crowd today, and I see a lot of new faces here, which is wonderful. My name is Leslie Santapaul, and I have the honor of being your worship associate this morning. Please take a moment to put your mind, your spirit, and your cell phones in worship mode. We welcome everyone here and online to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke, with a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We hope you'll stay after the service for coffee in the fellowship hall. Now let's take a second to stand up and connect to everyone watching at home. There's the camera, so give them a wave. For those of you online who wish to share your joys and concerns during the Lifelines portion of the service, please put them in the chat in the next 15 minutes. And now our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that our church resides on the traditional lands of the Tutelo and Monacan nations and was later farmed and developed through slave labor. We recognize and respect the ongoing connection to this land by generations of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. May our gratitude and fellowship here echo and honor that rich history. And now we recite the welcoming words and covenant. Please join me in reciting our words of welcome. Whoever you are, whoever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness, overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself, or eager to engage others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And our covenant. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world.
Our opening song is "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple." It's number 16 in your gray hymnal, and the words will also be on the screen, and we're going to sing it twice because it's such a lovely melody, so please stand and sing with us.
Thank you, and good morning. Good morning. It's wonderful to see you all on this Groundhog Day morning. I am the Reverend Jen Raffensperger, and I'm honored to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And, in fact, our opening words this morning are an excerpt from a poem called "Work Without Hope" by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Now, you might recognize a quote in this one stanza. It's poetry that Bill Murray's character quotes in the 1993 film Groundhog Day. And I will also note that Coleridge's poem opens with a note that these lines were, in fact, composed in February, almost exactly 200 years ago. So there's something about this month. It says, lines composed 21st February, 1825. All nature seems at work. Slugs leave their lair, the bees are stirring, birds are on the wing, and winter, slumbering in the open air, wears on his smiling face a dream of spring. And I, the while, the sole unbusy thing, nor honey make, nor pair, nor build, nor sing. I'll invite Leslie now to light our chalice as we join with Unitarian Universalist churches and congregations around the nation and the world in lighting each week the symbol of our living tradition, that it serve as a beacon to all of good faith and hope. Light.
Hey there, my name is Jessie. I use they, them pronouns, and I'd like to invite up really anybody who wants to hear a story. Whether you are young at heart, a child, an adult, come on up here because I've got something to show you. And there's plenty of room to sit. What is this? A calendar. This is a calendar. Is there anything on it right here? Okay, so I have a confession to make. I have several confessions for you this morning. This is a calendar that was a gift that we're going to use later. We're going to use the pages of this calendar. But I used this calendar to show you an example of something. Now, I have a habit. This is my other confession. I have a habit. Has anyone heard of herkle-derkling? A herkle-derkle is when you it's a Scottish word, so I guess it's a herkle-derkle. It's when you lay about in bed when you were supposed to get up. Now, do you know what a herkle-derkle is? All right, now I'm going to challenge everyone to confess who else loves a herkle-derkle. I love to herkle-derkle. It's so much fun to be awake, but in bed. I read when I herkle-derkle. I listen to music. Sometimes I even call my mom, and she tells me, get out of bed. Y'all, I am 43 years old, and my mama still tells me to get out of bed. So I have on the June calendar, I have every day that's green, is every day that you see a green dot, is a day that I herkle-derkled. Now, there's a whole week when I didn't herkle-derkle. Well, I mostly didn't herkle-derkle. Guess who I was visiting? My mom. Yeah, I was visiting my mom when I didn't herkle-derkle. But there's other colors on there. What colors do you see? Yellow. Okay, so yellow are the days that I was not super nice to myself. Yeah, I got better. But, some days I just, my feet are too big. I can't find any shoes I like because my feet are too big. Can I control that? But can I control how often I tell myself that? Yeah. So is a herkle-derkle a bad thing, a good thing, or a neither thing? It's a bad thing for some people. It's a good thing for other people. It's a neither thing. The pink are days that I just had a really great time in the swimming pool. Is that a good thing, a bad thing, or a neither thing? A good thing. What about the yellow things? When I was not nice to myself, is that a good thing? A bad? So is that something that I can improve? So sometimes we repeat things over and over that aren't healthy for us. Some things that we might call bad. That's an easy way of referring to something that's not healthy. But we repeat them over and over sometimes, right? And I'll tell you that sometimes I'm not nice to myself, and I do it yellow day after yellow day. But on days when I did something that was good for me, the pink things, do you see yellow and pink on the same day ever? So can I trade some not so healthy habits for some healthy habits? And what about the habits that are neither one? That I just enjoy. I love a Herkle-Durkle. As long as I'm getting up and going to my appointments, maybe I can wake up 30 minutes early and plan my Herkle-Durkle. I know that's kind of counter the Herkle-Durkle, right? But I can plan my Herkle-Durkle. I can plan my green days. But I can plan my pink days. And maybe if I repeat my pink more often, I lose some of the yellow. We're going to go upstairs, and we are going to make some plans. We're going to make some routines, but we're going to do it in a fun way with some collage stuff. We're going to glue. We're going to cut. It's going to be chaos. Are you ready? Let's do it. We'll talk on the way upstairs, okay?
Our reading this morning is Marge Piercy's poem, To Be of Use. We'll be hearing the entire poem, but this poem is so well beloved in Unitarian Universalist circles that the second half of it also appears in our gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, as a responsive reading. It is number 567 in the back of the book, and I'll give you all a moment to turn to that page. (567). The responsive reading will begin after the line, I want to be with people who submerge in the task. I will now read the poem from the beginning, and when we get to the responsive part, we will all read the parts printed in italics in the hymnal. To be of use. The people I love the best jump into work head first without dallying in the shallows and swim off with sure strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who stand in the line and haul in their places, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real.
Thank you so much, Leslie. I was informed this week that folks here like a responsive reading. Not every congregation does. I'm glad that I was reminded that this beautiful poem is at least in part available in our hymnal. They say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out until we grow. Well, I don't know if all that's true, 'cause you got me and baby, I got you. baby. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. Happy Groundhog Day. There was no way I couldn't do that. And also, happy Imbolc, St. Bridget's Day. There's various celebrations that crowd around the start of this shortest, sometimes strangest month. There's another very important celebration that happens around this time of year as well. And this year, it arrived on Thursday, the 29th, when we welcomed the arrival of the Lunar New Year and the beginning of the 15 days of the Spring Festival, a time of celebration and gift-giving observed in China and many other cultures across Asia. This year, we welcome the Year of the Snake, which brings with it associated themes of renewal and regeneration. Once you let go of that which no longer serves you, as the snake sheds their skin once they have grown too big for it. Now, many celebrations and holidays come with traditions, things we might do and repeat often, maybe not daily, like Jesse talked about. So do any of you have traditions around this time of year? Do you watch Groundhog Day every year? Do people have traditions around this time of year? Does anybody want to share one? I have a groundhog cookie cutter. Awesome. Any other traditions that you do or things that you do around the beginning of February every year? It reminds Celeste that her anniversary is the next day, so that's an important reminder. And maybe, maybe you're getting your gardens ready. Somebody else has, you're being pointed at. A red envelope, child gets a red envelope for its Lunar New Year. That's how gifts are given at that time. So maybe you watch Groundhog Day. I know friends who do that. I know there's at least one television station that shows Groundhog Day on a loop for 24 hours, which is apropos. Maybe if you lean more towards some of the earth-centered spiritual traditions, you are celebrating Imbolc, the holiday that marks the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. We're over halfway there, y'all. Or perhaps you're a gardener, and you're celebrating the fact that it's during this time of year the seed catalogs are calling to you, and you are planning, making selections, perhaps even starting some of your plantings for this year's garden indoors. On one memorable Groundhog Day in college, two friends and I celebrated by going and getting piercings, and we had so much fun that we thought about making it annual, but that one didn't stick. Whew. I switched to tattoos. But I would say that in the United States, in the dominant culture at least, that Groundhog Day is probably the most common thing that comes to people's mind when you ask about holidays at the start of February. And yes, I'm aware there's also a significant sports thing that is happening around this time of year. But even before the memorable movie of the same name, there has been a strange pageantry and folklore around the legend of the groundhog emerging from their winter lair and either seeing their own shadow and diving back underground, suggesting there will be 6 more weeks of winter, or not seeing their shadow and staying above ground and heralding the possibility of an early spring. Now, I did check, and this morning, those men in top hats and tuxedos dragged poor Punxsutawney Phil out of his burrow, and he did see his shadow. So 6 more weeks of winter, according to a prognosticator who is less accurate than a coin flip. So, and why the hats? Why the top hats and anyway, that's another day. Anyway, so now of course, we know that no matter what happens with one particularly pampered groundhog in western Pennsylvania, we do have 6 more weeks before the first day of spring. And we are tired. Or at least I know I am. January felt like it lasted about 7 months. And we experienced wild weather and even wilder shifts in our sense of rightness in the world. Change is a vital part of life, as we know, but too much change happening too fast can go by another name: chaos. January, to me, felt chaotic. Our souls don't really want chaos in the winter. We are born to hunker down, to plan and plot for spring, yes, but also to settle into the rest that all living things need to gather the energy to change. Fields must lay fallow to enhance their ability to foster new growth, Bears hibernate during the time when their food sources are scarce. Humans, too, need a time where the pace of life shifts, where the rhythm of life slows down enough to allow us time to renew. They say love won't pay the rent before it's earned, our money's all been spent. I guess that's so, we don't have a lot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. Babe, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. Now, I mean, clearly most of you know what I'm getting at here, but if you are not familiar with why I keep going back to this old Sonny and Cher song, it is in fact a key signifier in the plot of the movie Groundhog Day. And so if you're not familiar with the movie, it is about a cranky local weatherman, played by Bill Murray, sent to Punxsutawney to cover the annual event, and he gets stuck in a time loop where he relives the same day, Groundhog Day, over and over again. Each morning in his hotel room, the clock radio blares into life playing I Got You, Babe. And what begins as a cheery, energetic start to the morning turns into an agonizing reminder that he is still stuck, that it is still February 2nd, that it may never not be February 2nd again. He doesn't know what to do. It's an existential crisis. He plays around with consequences, or more accurately, what it's like to live a life where your actions do not have consequences, or at least none that last longer than 24 hours. He says absurd things, knowing no one will remember them the next day. He commits petty crimes. But as he lives the day over and over hundreds of times, it's actually theorized that he spends decades living that same day over and over. The film's montages show us his reactions from the absurd to the dangerous, to the sublime, to the ridiculous. And it becomes clear to us, a little earlier than it becomes clear to him, that the reason that he's stuck is because he, as a person, is stuck. Roger Ebert called this one of the most spiritual movies made in the 20th century. Frankly, the character starts the film as a cynical jerk, and in this nightmarish take on the sort of psychic event that changes Ebenezer Scrooge in Dickens's A Christmas Carol that happens in one night, he eventually comes to realize that when he has all eternity to live however he may choose, he chooses kindness. Now, it's true that in the movie, his motivating force is the fact that he's fallen in love with his new producer, played by Andie MacDowell, but along the way, he becomes a kinder and a more thoughtful person. And remember, he doesn't think he's ever going to necessarily get to be with her, even if he does get her to fall in love with him. He may never get off of February 2nd. All nature seems at work. Slugs leave their lair, the bees are stirring, birds are on the wing, and winter, slumbering in the open air, wears on his smiling face a dream of spring. And I, the while, the sole unbusy thing, nor honey make, nor pair, nor build, nor sing. So Murray's character quotes this poem as part of his realization that he too has lived a life without purpose. He has been the unbusy thing as spring draws near, even as he personally, as the character in the movie, is stuck in a loop where spring is not getting closer for decades. He decides, no matter if he finishes his days living solely on a single day, that he will do things that help him find purpose. He learns new skills. He helps others. It is that which eventually allows him to grow old enough to shed his old skin, to leave behind the loop and continue on with his regular existence where each day leads to the next, and where spring does, in fact, arrive. Repetition, of course, can be a drag. There are times when we don't want to perform the recurring task that is expected of us. Vacuuming, paying the bills, grocery shopping, those small needed things that once done still need to be done again and again and again. But it is also repetition that gives us time to learn and to grow, Jesse made the example of picking positive things and trying to get them to crowd out the negative things that repeat. We don't get any better at playing the piano or swimming or writing or memorizing relevant snippets of poetry, for that matter. We don't get better at things without doing them again and again, without practicing. In the tradition of those who follow Tao, we're reminded that keeping ourselves pliant and able to change, learn, and grow is vital to remaining aligned with Tao. Even on the days where we feel removed from Tao, from that life force in the world, we should return to the meditation cushion. We should take our time with our little acts of ritual, even if our heart isn't in it, because this is how we build a habit. If we meditate every day, even if we can barely keep our minds from flying in 15 different directions, which is what usually happens to me, even if it was all for naught in the moment, we are still learning a habit. When we take the time to develop a skill, when we develop the discipline of repetition, then that skill can return to us even when we are under stress, even when the change around us feels like it's coming too fast and it feels too much like chaos. The wheel turns each year. It moves a bit more every day. We grow and we learn to set aside that which no longer serves us. The earth tilts toward the sun, and we prepare for the growing season, the season of new life and the return of light and of warmth. Seedlings are starting. Birds are readying for migration if they haven't already moved. The wheel turns. The seed catalogs come in the mail. That TV station shows Groundhog Day on a loop for 24 hours. The next animal in the series of the 12 animals of the Chinese zodiac steps up for their year on the day of the first new moon each lunisolar year. Bears wake from their slumber. We return to our spiritual communities and our spiritual practices time and again because there's a comfort in that repetition. And because repetition is also how we challenge ourselves to new growth. Now, this can be a tiring time of year for many of us. But even as we prepare ourselves for times of chaos and uncertainty, the repetition even of these strange and dark and muddied days of February can remind us that there are larger cycles that we are a part of, that there is more to existence than whatever's in the headlines that day. So there's something else for us Unitarian Universalists too. Another spiritual lesson from Groundhog Day is that in time, Bill Murray's character cannot ignore the various injustices that he sees around him in the town where he spends so much time. So part of what makes him become unidle is the face of the problems of others, meaning that over a tremendous amount of time, he steps out of being focused only on himself. Even if it starts as a lark, it continues because it feeds his heart and his spirit. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. Massive patience and straining in the mud and the muck. I mean, that feels like January, right? That stanza is, in fact, why I had Leslie, thank you for the wonderful reading, share all of Marge Piercy's poem with us, and not just the part that's the responsive reading, because that stanza was the important one for me. Patience is another thing that we need to practice again and again with others and with ourselves, as Jesse talked about. And by practice, I also mean that we're going to fail at it. We don't begin to practice a thing with the expectation we'll be perfect every time. That's the antithesis of why we do it. There are some things that need to be done again and again. There are parts of the garden that do need to be replanted every year. There are new injustices that will crop up even as we hope we might have weeded out that last bunch. So I hope that each of you takes a moment to consider the work that we do alone within ourselves to hone our sense of the world, to learn when it's time for us to shed that old skin. And I hope that each of you also considers the work we do together in community, understanding that part of our growth is learning that some jobs require many hands and much time. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real. May we each find the real work we are called to and co-liberators to work with us. May we rest, may we restore, may we repeat. So may it be.
Good morning. We're now at the time of our service where we're taking a collection, and today is a special collection, as we call it. My name is Joanne Spetzler, and I'm one of the coordinators of our church's special collection program. Since 2007, our congregation has had 4 special collections each year to benefit community services and social justice agencies in the Roanoke Valley specifically. Each agency has been specifically selected by our members at each annual meeting. To be eligible to be included on the ballot for this election, an agency must be nominated by a church member or a friend who either works at the agency or is a volunteer for the agency. To date, our collective gifts since 2007 for our Special Collections Program have provided over $73,000 of support to agencies in the Valley. So today's collection will be benefiting the Bradley Free Clinic, and it was nominated by Jill Thompson, one of our members, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about her involvement in the clinic. After the introduction, the offers will be coming around with the collection baskets. All of the cash that is collected today will go to the Bradley Free Clinic, but we will also accept checks, and we ask that you write those to the church name, UU Church of Roanoke, and put Bradley Free Clinic in the memo line. If you would rather make a donation later in the week or this month, we'll be collecting the entire month of February, and you can bring a check anytime when you're here, or mail a check to the church, or use the church's payment portal to make a contribution. There's a special line on the portal for special collections. So with that, I will introduce Jill Thompson.
Thank you, Joanne. Good morning. I've been volunteering at the Bradley Free Clinic since 2018 as a physical therapist. And a few years ago, a colleague and I started a student-run physical therapy clinic there, where on Wednesdays our graduate students come and they get hands-on experience in treating patients, but also we're able to treat more people than we normally would. So we've been able to expand therapy services. I think everyone's pain experience is valid and deserves treatment, but there's something extra meaningful to me about treating someone who lives paycheck to paycheck or is marginalized in any way, and being able to have them continue working or get back to work quickly when you don't have that safety net to rely on. So I'm always passionate about giving to the Bradley Free Clinic, especially in this time of uncertain federal funding. I hope that you will give generously, and I'm happy to introduce Joanne Jones, who's the Director of Development for the Bradley Free Clinic, to tell you more.
Good morning. I think Jill feels like the Joanne sandwich. The Joanne started and this Joanne's going to end. And good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you and to tell you more about the Bradley story. For 50 years, we have been part of the fabric of the Roanoke Valley. And throughout that history, our commitment has been to provide compassionate and comprehensive health care to the underserved members of the Roanoke Valley. We believe at our core that everyone deserves quality health care. We could not have done this work without the generosity of donors and volunteers. And I can't say enough about Jill and her students and how exciting it is to see them at the clinic. And in addition to the great work that they do for our patients, I hope that part of what they take from this is the value of helping the underserved. And when they move along to their next permanent career, that they'll take that with them, because wherever you are, free clinics need the help of experts in the community to help our patients. We are thankful every day for our donors and their belief in what we do. It is the generosity of grantors, foundations, churches and communities like yourself, and individuals who donate to the Bradley Free Clinic. Bradley does not receive any direct funding other than a very little bit from the Medicaid patients that we serve. We have to raise the money to do the work that we do day in and day out. Bradley is robust and growing. I have been there for 5 years, and during those 5 years, I have seen us welcome Medicaid expansion, go from giving patient care 9 hours a week to 48 hours a week. We addressed the COVID pandemic. We've added a dedicated behavioral health wing, and we continue to meet the growing need year over year that our patients have for the services that we provide. Bradley is a fully integrated clinic. We provide medical, dental, behavioral health, and pharmacy services. And that behavioral health services that we provide really has two functions. We provide psychiatric and counseling services, but we also provide peer services to help folks in the community who have substance use disorder and want to begin a treatment and recovery program. Our goal is to be our patients' medical home, where they can come to one location to get the services that they need to maintain being active and productive members of the Roanoke community. During the calendar year that just ended on December 31st, we provided over 18,000 services to 3,900 unique individuals. Our staff and volunteers stay very busy. And Bradley works very closely with other safety net organizations in the Roanoke Valley. We support the Fralin Clinic at the Rescue Mission with all the medications that their patients need. We assist the parents of CHIP clients with their dental needs. Commonwealth Catholic Charities relies upon us to provide the medical care to the immigrants and folks newly arrived at the community that they are helping. And as we look ahead, there are continuing challenges on the horizon. We have a very long wait list for dental care. We're the only entity in the valley that provides dental services to the underserved. And counseling is really in great demand. So having volunteer counselors who also speak Spanish are high on our wish list. But nothing tells our story better than our patients. And there are many, but there's one I want to share with you. Mike's commitment to his health and keeping his appointments makes me smile. One rainy Thursday evening last spring, Mike had an appointment to come to our Thursday evening clinic. Mike doesn't drive. His sole transportation is his bike. That, in fact, had been stolen earlier in the week. Mike couldn't find a ride. Mike didn't live on the bus line. but Mike made his appointment by driving his riding lawnmower to the clinic. Now, I am not going to speak to the roadworthiness of his clinic or his director, but I will tell you that his dedication to keeping his appointment and having his relationship with our providers was important to him. He got there at any means possible. And I can assure you that our staff gave him back that same level of commitment and how they take care of him. I appreciate being with you this morning. I thank you in advance for your special collection. And I invite any of you to come by the clinic for a tour. I would love for you to see your donation in action.
With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world.
Your generosity.
Good morning, everybody. I am Linda Wood here this morning representing the Caring Committee. And one of the things that we covenant to do with all of you as a committee is to present your joys and concerns on a Sunday morning to the congregation as a whole. If you have something in your heart that you want everybody to know about, something wonderful or awful that's happened in your life or in between, please let us know by calling the church office or talking to a member of the Caring Committee, or you can write it in the Lifelines book, which is kept on the altar in the mornings before the services. And during the week, it's over there by the name tags. So into this sacred space, we bring a joy. Celeste Lee and her husband Mike are celebrating their 35th anniversary this week. Celeste is still so glad that she asked him out in 1988. And you said Groundhog Day is how you remember your anniversary, right? That's convenient. Now is the time in the service where you have an opportunity to come forward and light a candle for something that might be in your heart that you didn't want to share with everybody as a whole, but that you need some warmth. And may the warmth of that candle bring you some peace.
Find
May our prayers be heard and our hearts be restored.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone. Going to light a special candle this week for all civil servants, for all federal employees. My father was a lifelong federal employee. My brother was a lifelong federal employee, and he's still alive, but he retired, to be clear. I know I have a lot of friends being originally from the DC area. I personally know a lot of people who have had a really hard week. And we know that people sometimes take jobs that might be more lucrative if they were not serving their country. So I want us to send some strength their way. And as I do every week, I'm going to light a candle here in the sanctuary for everyone who is joining us online, that though you cannot be here physically in presence, we feel that you are with us in spirit. So at this point, I'll invite you into a moment in time for prayer and meditation and reflection. Make yourself comfortable in your seat. What that means for you, may want to close your eyes or soften your gaze if closing your eyes does not feel comfortable. Spirit of life, we know that sometimes chaos comes. We want to restore within our hearts the hope so that we can return to the work again and again and again, the work that is real. But let us not also forget that when one of us is struggling, another may be able to help. That when one of us has the energy to go into the world and do the things that need to be done, that makes it possible for some of us to rest. This is what we do in community. Some people work, some people rest. The cycle continues. And in our personal hearts, we know there are many joys and sorrows that may feel a little eclipsed by the overwhelm in the larger world at times. And so know that whatever lives in your heart, whether we light a candle here or you tell us about it at coffee hour or you just come here to feel a little bit better, even if you don't talk about it to anyone, that we share it, that we are here with you and for you, and that we strive always to be a better community, and that means trying again and again, even if we fail. So I hope that you have found some peace within this time together this week. I hope that it is restorative for you for the first week of February ahead. May we find within our hearts the peace that we can then carry into the larger world. So may it be.
And now, as we draw close to the end of our time together, worship this week, we turn our attention from within our own community and their joys and concerns, and we prepare to engage with the world in the week ahead. We begin with a couple of announcements. Thank you so much to all the volunteers who helped to make the Friday's celebration of Rev Jen's full ministerial fellowship a success. It was fantastic. And how about that cake? Chris, you did a great job. A reminder to all who are relatively new to Unitarian Universalism and to UUCR, we will be holding a UU immersion class on Saturday, February 22nd. If you attended the first class, you should have received an email with information about how to sign up for this class. We do need your registration to plan for lunch and for childcare. If you didn't get the email, or if you were interested in attending the first class but weren't able to, please email RevGen at uoroanoke.org for more information. More announcements can be found in the weekly email newsletter. If you are not receiving the newsletter and would like to, please contact admin@uoroanoke.org.
Thank you. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Did I mess something up? Totally did. That's what it says, and yet I heard a strum, and I was like, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. It's okay. That's all. It's all me. Look, I failed. But I'm doing it again. So now, yes, we're practicing reading comprehension skills. So now I'll ask Leslie to extinguish our chalice again, as we do with Unitarian Universalist churches and congregations and communities across the nation and the world. We know that when the light of the chalice in the sanctuary is extinguished, the light of the faith in our hearts does not go out, but rather carries us into the week ahead. And now the music.
The closing hymn is number 346. I know it says 345, but if you were working ahead, then you know it's number 346 in the hymnal, and the words will be on the screen. And Ron and Robin are going to play it for us, and we're all going to sing along. That's me. Ron, Erica, sorry. I'm just used to saying Ron and Robin. I'm sorry. Please stand with us. It's not just us. It's y'all. Go ahead.
Are you ready?
Yes, you can all just stay standing. So go. I got you, babe. We've got each other. Be kind to each other this Groundhog Day. Be kind to the small mammals that you meet along the way. Take good care and cultivate peace in your heart, even then it takes a lot of practice. So may it be. Woo!